What's going on, everybody? It's Game Unboxing Reviews here, and welcome back to another Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales news update. So, in today's video, I'm of course going to be showcasing and talking about everything that we know so far about this game. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so Miles Morales has been described as the next essential adventure in the Marvel Spider-Man universe, where fans will play as Miles in a full new story arc featuring new set pieces and fresh new villains, in an important, heartfelt, emotional and essential new experience, which is said to be similar in overall scope to Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Now, the game's story is set during the winter time, about a year after the events of Marvel Spider-Man, and we return to find that Miles is still adjusting to being the new Spider-Man, while also trying to search for a new sense of belonging after moving into his new home in East Harlem, a neighborhood which is also home to Miles's best friend Ganke Lee, who just so happens to know all about his secret identity. We also learn that Miles's mother, Rio Morales, has become a politician, running election rallies in hope that people will vote for her for city council. But just as all seems right before the Christmas break, Rio's election rally is interrupted as a war breaks out in Harlem between the energy corporation known as Roxxon and The Underground, a high-tech criminal army that is being led by none other than the Tinkerer. Now, this battle continues on the Braithwaite Bridge as the Underground attack a Roxxon convoy in an attempt to steal their canisters of NuForm, an experimental energy source that Roxxon promises can power the entire city cleanly. But as Miles races to the bridge to stop the Underground and save the civilians, he finds that rising to the challenge of becoming his own Spider-Man won't be as easy as just having impressive new superpowers, and when the lines blur between his personal and crime-fighting lives, he will discover who he can really trust and what it feels like to truly be home. And for those of you that are concerned about the whereabouts of Peter Parker, don't worry, as Insomniac has assured fans that they still have much more of Peter's story left to tell. But for now, this adventure is all about Miles, who is a critical part of this universe, with Insomniac even going as far to say that fans do not want to miss what happens in this game. Next up, let's talk about gameplay, starting with the open world. So your playground in this game is of course the snowy streets of Marvel's New York City, where you'll traverse through new locations like the vibrant and bustling neighborhoods of Harlem and complete unique quests. As for combat, a lot of what made the first game's mechanics so special is of course making a return in this one, such as finishing moves, web attacks, gadgets, suit mods, and so much more. But the team also wanted to make sure that when you took control of Miles, it would feel like you were playing as a brand new Spider-Man, with a unique feel to both combat and traversal. So while Miles is confirmed to have been learning from Peter and training, he still isn't as confident, and you'll see that in experience reflected during gameplay. Like when Miles is web swinging, he'll be a little bit more flaily in comparison. But of course, the biggest thing that sets Miles apart from his mentor is that he has additional powers, such as spider camouflage, which gives him the ability to turn invisible for a short period of time, allowing him to be able to perform a stealthy finishing move on an enemy. Miles can also unleash his bioelectric venom blast ability, which can be used in many different ways, such as through a stomping attack as a way of charging towards enemies which he can then throw, and he can even use this ability to launch multiple enemies into the air. Up next, we need to talk about next-gen enhancements. So this game will feature an optional 60 frames per second performance mode with 4K and HDR support, as well as improved visuals and lighting with ray traced reflections and shadows, plus near instantaneous loading and fast travel, allowing you to be able to zip across the city in no time at all and reload almost instantly, all thanks to the PlayStation 5's ultra-fast SSD drive. Models have also been upgraded with 4D scans, as well as improved skin shading for more realistic looking characters and spline-based hair that moves more naturally. Many of the city's assets have also been updated, as you can expect to see a lot more vehicles on the road and NPCs walking the streets. The game will also feature Tempest 3D audio tech, enabling you to be able to hear what's happening around you from the rooftops to the city streets. And of course, I can't forget to mention the DualSense wireless controller, which will feature adaptive triggers that let you feel Spidey's webs in your hands, as well as haptic feedback, which essentially allows you to be able to feel the tension behind each one of Miles's web swings, punches, web shots, and venom blasts. Moving on, we now need to talk about additions, and I'm going to start off by detailing the versions of the game that are exclusive to the US and Canada. So first up, we have the Launch Edition, and like all versions of the game, this is available in both physical and digital format, depending on if you purchased it from a local retailer or the PlayStation Store. And despite the fact that it has been officially confirmed that the next-gen version of this game was built from the ground up to take advantage of the PS5's feature set, the standard edition will also be available for the PS4. And while it won't have any of the next-gen enhancements that you'll see in the PS5 version, Insomniac has still promised that the game will look beautiful on the PS4 and of course the PS4 Pro. Insomniac has also confirmed that if you buy the game for the PS4, then you will also be able to upgrade to the PS5 version for free. And if you intend on buying this game for the PS5, then you'll need to make sure that you're buying a version that is compatible with your specific version of the console. Because if you were to buy a physical PS5 copy of the game, then it would not be playable on the digital edition of the console as it doesn't have a disc drive. So if you've ordered the digital edition of the PS5, then you'll need to buy a digital copy of the game from the PlayStation Store. But if you've bought the standard edition of the PS5 that does include a disc drive, then you can either buy a physical copy of the game or just download a digital copy of it from the PlayStation Store. Just make sure that you have enough SSD space on your console, as this game alone will take up 50 gigabytes. Now, bundled in the PS4 and PS5 versions of the launch edition, you will also find voucher codes to redeem extra skill points, which you can spend in-game to unlock new powers and combat abilities, as well as an early unlock code for the Gravity Well gadget, which can pull enemies together to knock them down and disarm them. The launch edition will also include codes to redeem 2 new suits, one of which is the Time Response Activated Circuit Kinetic suit, which also unlocks the Untrackable suit mod. And this tracksuit was designed by Javier Garron, who is one of the artists behind the Miles Morales Spider-Man comic series. As for the second Spidey suit, the identity of this one is currently unknown. Or is it? Because at the time of this recording, if I go to the game's official page on direct.playstation.com, I'll find a paragraph at the very bottom of the page which details a lot of important copyright information. But most interestingly, it also mentions an Into the Spider-Verse suit and SPAI, which is an abbreviation for Sony Pictures Animation Inc., who is of course the production company behind Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And at this time, it is currently unknown if we'll be getting the suit from Stan's costume shop, the hooded look, or the hoodless black and red suit, but I'm sure we'll know soon enough. Now, the other version of the game that is exclusive to the US and Canada is the Ultimate Launch Edition, which includes every single thing that you get with the Launch Edition, as well as a voucher code for Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, which includes a remaster of the original game and all 3 DLC packs from the City That Never Sleeps expansion, those of course being the Heist, Turf Wars, and Silver Lining, which altogether will take up a whopping 105 gigabytes of memory space on your PS5. And this is no simple upres. The remastered version will feature an optional 60 frames per second performance mode, as well as updated art assets, better looking characters with improved skin, eyes, hair, and facial animations, including a next generation Peter Parker, plus improved lighting, ray traced reflections and ambient shadows, and more pedestrians and vehicles that you'll see stretching further out into the distance. The remastered version will also support near instant loading, 3D audio, and haptic feedback from the DualSense wireless controller. The remastered version will also include brand new trophies, new photo mode features, and what the official PlayStation blog has described as 3 amazing new Spider-Man suits. So could we finally be getting all 3 suits from the 2 amazing Spider-Man movies in this remaster? Well, I guess we will just have to wait and see. It's also worth mentioning that Insomniac has no plans to release Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered for the PS5 in a physical format, and that save files and trophy progress from the PS4 version will not transfer over to the PS5. And finally, the last thing that we need to talk about is of course the global version of the game, which is called the Ultimate Edition, and this includes a physical or digital copy of the game depending on if you purchased it from a local retailer or the PlayStation Store, but you also get a voucher code for Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered. As for the extra skill points, Gravity Well gadget, and the 2 alternative suits for Miles, while I haven't seen any mention of these bonuses being included in the global version of the Ultimate Edition, Insomniac has said that if you pre-order at a participating retailer or from the PlayStation Store, you'll receive those same pre-order bonuses from the retailer. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video. All that's left to say now is that Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales will be available for the PS4 and PS5 on the 12th of November in the US and release on the 19th of November in the rest of the world. Anyway guys, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and as always, if you'd like to stay up to date with the latest news on this game, then please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.